Let's see here. Good streams. Yes. Good. Cool. So I'm just gonna do one VOD review tonight, and it's gonna be a very quick one. Looking at Busan. We are going to be reviewing Sirsman, who is a student of mine, who was recently competing in the Oklahoma League. One of the main things that we've been covering, or two of the main things that we've been covering are swapping their hero pool, and also working on map control by taking angles. So this is a McCree VOD that they have sent me. We're going to look at it. I believe the ELO here is something like somewhere between 1600 to 1800, so this is not going to be the highest tier Overwatch gameplay, but we're mostly going to be seeing what they do in terms of personal improvement. So let's check this one out. So already the composition that we're seeing is actually somewhat close to what a lot of teams are running, similar to meta comps. We're running the Brawl tanks with this Ryan Zarya here. You've already got the Lucio to set a very fast tempo, so you're going to be doing a lot of Brawl pushing in, right? Your tanks are going to be trying to play some sort of front line. And as McCree, your job is going to be putting pressure on the enemy team from sort of off angle, right? So if you are playing here if you're playing here with your tanks, right, within that choke, your McCree wants to be somewhere that you're getting damage in. This might not be ideal because I think that the team would be here, but you're trying to get some sort of side shots in. So that's the core concept that we want to see coming out of Sirsman here. Is you don't want to be playing behind your Ryan, you want to be playing to the side. So we're gonna see how this sets up. All right. So right off the get-go, as soon as you recognize that there's a Bastion in the mix, you want to be careful. And you're holding corners. Like, this is okay that you're trying to get out of the sightline. However, like, you're frontlining, right? Do you see where you are with your team right now? This is not the best position to be playing. Hanzo right now is in a good spot where he's getting some crossfire in because the rest of the team is playing main. A better spot for you might be somewhere like this drum. If your team is trying to push this left side, you want to be playing somewhere diagonal to that, right? So rolling in, as soon as you do that, you're rolling into close distance, and in doing so, you've put yourself in the front line, right? Where is your Ryan? Your Ryan is on the flank. You and your Ryan actually should probably be switching places right now. Because you are not a frontline hero, right? McCree, despite his HP changes and despite everybody in Silver's best argument, McCree is not as tanky as you might believe him to be. So what would do a lot more for you is going on this flank here and being where your Ryan is. I don't know why your Ryan is here, but where this Ryan is almost a perfect position for you to be playing, because your Bastion, or their Bastion, is going to be trying to shoot down mid, trying to clear off the point. Your objective as McCree playing in this Brawl is going to be taking the off angle so that your Brawl can be a front line and fight these tanks up here, and you can pinch, right? When you look at it from a top-down perspective, let's look at this, right? Let me get an Epic Pen, actually. Yoink. Let's see it. Did it appear on screen? I don't know if it did. I'm gonna have to switch to this one, right? So where you're playing right now, you have set up a bit of a concave on this team, right? And this is what we've talked about with map control, is you are getting angles on this team, and they will have to look at too many things. Now, it is Busan. The map geometry is a little bit weird, but what's happening here, if you discount what heroes are holding what areas, what's happening here is you've set up angles, right? Zarya is putting pressure onto Sigma. You're putting pressure here. Ryan arguably will be putting pressure up on this top right-hand side. So even though you and your Ryan are in the wrong positions to be doing your job, you as a team have collectively set up this angle, and you've got the Hanzo for a little bit more pressure too. So you are setting this up. It's just in a very strange manner, right? So hopefully you see that. Okay. Clear off that. So you got someone on the point right now. Okay. So now your Rhine's in. Your Rhine's in. You've got team holding the point. Do you think that this is the best place for you to be playing right now? Or more accurately, do you think this is the best target for you to be prioritizing right now? I think arguably you do a little bit more if you're helping out your Zarya and trying to put pressure onto the point. This angle is still fine because it lets you shoot in while the rest of the team can shoot around. And currently this Sigma's not really in a position to help. So I don't know if this backline is necessarily the target you want. I think there's better targets off here, but where you're holding is okay.
I guess they didn't have enough.
All right, you lock down a kill. Right. So even though I don't think you're going for the right targets, you're still doing your job very effectively. Do you see what happened there? All right, what's happening while you're pressuring this Sigma? Well, Sigma can't shoot onto the Rhine. Ashe doesn't want to shoot onto the Rhine because they want to kill you on the flank here. You're buying attention. Nobody's really able to look at the Bastion once the Rhine drops in. So now, all of a sudden, the attention is split every which way. And if you look at the little arrow icons, these little chevrons on top of each of the heroes, you can see where their focus is, right? So Zarya is looking at the Rhine. Ashe is kind of split between looking at Ryan and you, so you bought some attention by being on this flank, and then sure enough, even though the Bastion gets set up, people are able to start surrounding the point and collapsing on top of that. So your team followed through on what needed to happen, and you do the roll thing again to close the distance, right? You don't need to be that close for flashbang, and also you should be focusing the Mercy there, because Mercy's gonna get a lot of charge off of the healing if you just keep peppering but not actually doing anything. Right, think about what target's more important for you. Yeah, this is just a hit your shots thing. Okay, cool. So you clean up that fight. Now with your team holding forward here, what I would like to see you do, if the Hanzo doesn't already, I want to see you holding this angle right here. If you hold here, what ends up happening with a composition like this is they may try to speed boost onto you, but you're able to drop through window and fall out. Or if you play in drum, you're able to control this right side. So you playing not necessarily this far forward, but around drum, what this will allow you to do is shoot down this lane to anyone coming on a flank. So if they run the Hanzo as well, you have the responsibility of challenging the Hanzo so that the Hanzo doesn't get strange angles, right? This Hanzo wants to take strange angles to get shots in. Their Hanzo's going to want to do the same. So as soon as you see that, you know, hit tab, check what they have. Holding this is going to be very crucial. So that's what I would like to see out of you. And so you're kind of looking around on point for something to do. Okay, you're figuring it out. Good. Right? Your team's a little in right now, so the fight's going on. You can afford to push up while your team's pushing. You know, think about how you want to flank. Yeah, but you're getting some stuff done, because while they're looking at main, you're able to do things here. I think this is a little excessive. I mean, you're cleaning up, so, you know, if your team's going in, may as well go in with them. Again, this is like silver elo, gold elo, so nothing too crazy. But don't overstay your welcome. Yeah, cool. Okay, they've swapped to Ryan and Farah now. Point being captured. It's handled. Okay, go exactly back to where you were. Perfect. All right, now you know that there's a Farah, so you should already be watching for her. Your job has shifted a little bit. Now they're not running the Hanzo. This angle is going to be a little less important because it's going to be only Ashe. And Ashe is probably going to play a little bit closer to main with the Mercy, just for dynamite damage. But you might try to take the angle. But as the hit scan player, your primary responsibility is going to be checking that Farah. So making sure that you're playing somewhere that you can see the Farah is big. Right? This Lucio makes a terrible mistake by trying to challenge you. And yeah, that Mercy knows that she doesn't want to mess with you. So you've already controlled this angle really well because you win a lot of different duels with your utility. You've got your stun, you've got your roll. I mean, you should know that. But you've got a lot going on for you here. So then this flank is pretty good. You're trying to get the jump on this Farah. You're trying to help your team out. what does concern me is you're engaging while your team is backing out. So it is a little scary to be in this position where if you were to buy attention, there's nobody who's going to be able to help you, right? It's not like the attention is split right now. So hopefully there's a little bit more chaos thrown in the mix, but you should be able to get like a sneaky kill or two. Yep, find the Pharah, find the Pharah. Oh, you gotta hit these. Okay. Yeah, so nobody's really looking at you because they're all too focused in. Again, this is, you know, silver, but in higher levels that won't work. Someone will hear you shooting. Right, as soon as you miss that first shot, they're gonna know that you're there in a elo like diamond, or plat even. Your map control is doing pretty decently, actually. Alright, so you're playing there in main. It's not terrible, right? It is the last fight. But people are getting around. Try and make sure that you have shots ready to go when you flashbang. You get hooked. Alright. Yeah, so do you see the pressure that you were taking while you were playing main as opposed to this angle? Right? So right now, when you're playing in main, who's looking at it? Everyone's kind of looking at this main area, right? So where do you need to be right now? Good kill. Good kill. Alright, interesting dodge. Okay.
They ain't finished yet.
I don't like how you got here, but you got to the right spot eventually. Right? Admittedly, you're there a little early because the rest of your team isn't quite ready to follow through. But once again, you've done the concave thing, right? So if we look at this again, you're gonna start putting pressure here. You're gonna start putting pressure here, or maybe from here. And now you've started to set up the angle, right? This is the concave of map control, and they're all trying to hold point. They all desperately want to save this point. And now you've set up the angles that you need, or you're starting to set the angles that you need to retake it. But you don't have any support, so... Oh, well, Mercy gets you. Okay, now that you can close out a kill.
Let's get to that.
Alright. And now that your team's starting to rotate to you, now that you've cleared this area for them, I guess they want to take that. And now you're doing the concave again, right? Even though they've pushed to where... you were, right? Their front line tried to match you. Now you are effectively shooting into their back line by being here, right? Once again, you know, I'll illustrate it. This is, ooh, I don't like that line. That is a little bit too thin. Once again, you've set up this angle of attack, and this makes it very hard for them to do anything about that, right? Especially with somebody coming back on respawn. And now look at how much pressure you're going to take being here.
I'm staking my claim on the objectives.
Alright, good flank. Got into the back line, weren't able to do anything about it. That should have killed you. Your Hans had you covered. Good job. Right? You've really improved actually off of where you were.
Score 1-0. Ready for battle.
A moment to enjoy some peace and quiet.
Okay, mecha base. So same thing here with McCree. I want to see you playing away from your team.
3, 2, 1. Round.
Right, your team is going to try to take a main fight.
Objective.
They have the ability to speed onto opponents. I want to see you trying to shoot from the side, right? Don't play behind your Ryan here. You seem to be checking Twitter or something. In there. Okay. So this is actually all right. Who are we watching? We are watching Sirsman, who is one of my students from one of the high school teams I work with. Also, hello, word. Hope you're having a good night or morning, I suppose. Is it night or morning for you? 7 hours? Isn't it like 2 in the morning for you? Get some sleep. Smile. So right here, this is already a little bit scuffed because you have lost the mercy in this fight. So your team's losing some healing, but you're able to do a lot of pressure from this angle, and they're not going to challenge this, right? 244. Yeah, you should probably get to bed soon. Worry about your health. Right. So this is interesting, right? Because you have this control, you're able to do things like this, right? When they try to play the flank, you're able to guard it. The one thing that you really want to worry about is someone like Hog or McCree trying to control this too. I don't know why your Zarya drops there. But they're all playing up top here. They're not really able to challenge you. You've already gotten a pick onto their main tank, so this is good for you.
Whoa.
And you gotten the healer out. Trying to help out your Rhine. I think this is a little bit aggressive, right? You don't need to be all up in his face, right? You have enough control just playing here and being able to shoot into him, because if you're up here shooting into this Hog, what is he going to do, right? It's going to be much harder for him to push into you, and you can keep chasing him away or just leading him away outside of hook range, right? You don't have to worry about it as much. Imagine what happens if you play, and I'm gonna keep the camera here. If you play here, right, what happens to this Hog? So Hog's behind the pillar right now, unless you maybe back up a bit, but now you can keep shooting into this Hog. You can challenge the people on the high ground. You don't put yourself in any danger by being here, and you have control of the map, right? The objective is still within your control because you can shoot the people on high ground. If your Ryan needs help, which it seems like he's backing out and getting bubbled, you're able to put pressure onto the Hog if necessary. You're able to put pressure onto the high ground if necessary. Being right here is a very narrow scope onto this Hog, and you don't have the people to help you out. Your healers are not with you right now. If we spectate overlay, your Mercy has switched to Ana, is coming back from spawn. Your Lucio is not in a position to help you. So this is not an ideal place to be. Because Hog wins the flank duels more than you do as McCree.
It'll take more than that.
Alright, let's do this. This is fine. You're playing, saw you live and just want to say hi. I'm going to sleep now, so see you sometime this week. Alright, have a good night, word. But yeah, so if you're up here playing this angle, you're getting a lot of pressure in. You could even be so bold as to play here once you know what they're playing on point, right? Or if you see people on point, you can play this back angle, because shooting into their backs is really obnoxious when the team is pushing in. I would not do that until the team is ready to engage, though. Right. So getting some poke in here is fine, but this point is lost. It's also very hard for this team to challenge you on the high ground, right? What can Ryan do? All he can do is shield here. Hog can try to hit a hook, but his gun's a little bit too close range for him to do anything. So you're in a very advantageous position here. Please do not drop. Please do not drop. See you thinking about it? Don't drop. Right. Kill the Moira by accident. Like it. Kill the McCree with purely skill. I like it. And now look at what's happened. They tried to take this high ground. You were there to challenge it. The Hog did get above you, but what's the situation now? Okay. This is a little hard for me to angle correctly. But once again, what do we see here, right? You have once more set up the concave, right? The wonderful multiple angles. You've gotten 2 picks, all of your own accord. You dueled the McCree, you dueled the Moira. You had a lot better range than the Moira. Moira couldn't really do anything about the situation. She was actually a little out of position, I think. This Ryan, all you can do is shield. So as soon as these tanks start dropping, they're going to be able to do a lot of pressure from here. Ryan's going to have to fight that. You're able to put pressure in from here if you just keep the high ground. Hopefully this Lucia keeps the Roadhog off of you. But you've got a lot of different things going on. Like this is really great. This is the basically what we're trying to fight for with the Hansa McCree is taking these angles, having this control over the map, and then being able to send in tanks as the more brute force squad. You don't need to drop though. Dropping for this flashbang is greedy. You have control over the situation. You may want to even consider helping your Lucio on this flank with the hog. But now being here, you put yourself in the middle of a lot of danger. I don't know if I agree with the noon. That's okay. I don't know how you hit that shot. The Moira was basically behind you. Yep. No, you're doing great though. Right? Didn't need to be on low ground though. You could have done all the same things on the high. And there you go. Right, McCree basically tried to do the same thing that you were doing of holding the angle and being ready to challenge this. Your team's probably just gonna win this without you. That's fine. Get off of Twitter.
Walk it off.
Your team needs you. Okay, he's moving.
Nano boost administered.
Okay, this is a little too long of an angle. You can still play this because they don't have Lucio, so they cannot speed on top of you. If you play right here, all the sightline is yours. So you could choose to play either this angle, right? Even though the Hanzo's already here. If you don't want to stack up with that Hanzo, you can play up here with your Ana. Keep your Ana safe from people trying to get on top of her. But playing this angle is a little bit too far because all you can really see is the doorway, right? So in a ideal situation, you're playing either more to the right and you're playing the long sight line like your Hanzo is, although this Roadhog's going to try to get a sneaky flank on that. But this way you can get damage in a little bit better or shield in pressure a little in better while you've got tanks down here. Or while your Hanzo's over here being a threat and the Ryan's trying to shield that, you can be playing here. So one of these two high grounds will suffice. It depends on what you're trying to control or what you think that you're going to be better at controlling. Typically, this is okay for McCree. Being able to look into this doorway and also shoot into the open high ground is good. But playing on the open high ground does leave you a little bit susceptible to flanks like that. Right? So now you're playing this, but they've already taken the space that you would have had controlled. Now you have to win this duel, and Hog makes that really hard, right? So you get pinched out there. And it's mostly because you didn't have your head up and recognizing the situation. But I think this would have been the angle to play.
Let's start over at the beginning.
Katie, I don't know if you're still in my chat, but if you want me to look over any VODs of yours, I'm more than happy to. Okay, so you drop down here. Scared of the demon pressuring you. That's fine. Try to play a little bit back here. Okay. Like, do you see how much harder this is now that you're on low ground? Right now that you're trying to contest the point, you don't have as clear-cut shots on the people here. Let me go back. Right, so as soon as you see that diva, you get scared and you try to drop. So at least you're aware, like, okay, there's a threat. I need to get out of this situation. And diva is going to be threatening for you on this high ground because now your team is going to be able to help you. So I think that's like almost one more reason for you to be playing here is because it's a little bit easier for your team to help playing this high ground. Getting out of this situation is definitely the best option. Diva kind of feeds by going in here. This really doesn't do a whole lot. But now that Diva's dropped, and as soon as she gets DMAC, you need to be thinking about retaking high ground. or even playing back to control the point if you think that they're gonna if you think that they're going to try fighting point here soon, you can play back. Well, the walls make that hard, but you know, start playing for point, and playing for point does not mean necessarily playing on point, right? Because if you're up here, you're gonna have a lot more control over the situation than where you are right now. Right. And McCree gets killed, I think. Right clicks. Okay, Res gets denied. And Hog is doing whatever in a corner. Right? So overall, good job. You're clearly starting to understand the fundamentals of map control with your angle positioning. Or at least I can see you considering it more, right? Even if it's not perfect, it's still better than where it was at the beginning of our season together, right? So stuff like being here, being able to take these kinds of fights, right? McCree is very good at a medium to long range. So playing right here is fine. This does set up map control for yourself, right? Stuff like that is great. If I were to go to Sanctuary and look at stuff like this, I mean, that one was a little bit excessive, but stuff like, let's see here. Oh, that's excessive too. Try to find a good example here. Right, stuff like you recognizing I can't do anything from this position that I'm at right now. I should go to the right side and control this flank. Like even stuff like this, these simple positional changes are doing wonders for your gameplay from where you were, right? And you can also do this on Junkrat. This is definitely something that you're capable of achieving while on Rat. So yeah, look at this control that you have by being able to pinch. And them not being able to run into you, or when they're not able to run into you. So at a very basic level, like this is quite good. I think that's everything. I don't know if people in chat have questions or suggestions about this. I mean, it's a pretty simple VOD. It's really just, is your positioning good? Thanks, Katie. Do you have any VODs that you want me to look over, Katie? I can do that right now if you want. I'll let you ponder that one. Yeah, so the main improvements I would have for you, then, right, number one, I hope this shows up, is set up faster, right? Have a clear plan of where you want to go or what the angle is going to look like. Right? You're going to the right places. It's just a little slow right now. Even though you're not getting punished for it, or you're not seeing any impact of that right now, you will when you start to go up to gold and higher, right? So where you're going right now, set that up faster. Number two, cooldown usage. Right? Now that you're starting to take the right positions, think about how you want to use your cooldowns, right? You're using shift to engage a lot of the time, and that isn't ideal most of the time, right? What shift ends up doing is it's a good segue into a second fan the hammer if you're trying to burn down a tank, but I'm seeing you just trying to use it to close distance that you don't need to close because you're McCree, right? McCree does well at long to mid range, and you're trying to close a distance that isn't a problem for you. I would consider how to use it more for either its reload ability, right? If you need a quick reload, or if you're in a situation against a hog, right? If you're fighting a tank, how can you right click, shift, right click? So the shift needs a lot of work. Just understanding how that works. And then your flashbangs are okay. I would recommend following through on them a little bit more with the left clicks, right? Which is going to come into my next point. But with the flashbangs, what ends up happening a lot of the time that I'm noticing is you flash and then you either hesitate and then left click and you miss a shot because the person is moving, or you flashbang and then right click because you don't trust yourself to do the damage, right? And you've actually missed a couple of kills here, I think, going for right clicks instead of just trying to click ahead, right? So what this goes into, my third point is do this more, right? Play McCree more. You've played a lot of Junkrat in the past, which, and I don't mean this to be rude, isn't the most aim intensive hero. So it might be a little bit weird switching from a projectile based character like Junkrat that does a lot of spam and shuts down a lot of points to something like the McCree, who is very much, if I click something, the damage goes to that something immediately. It might be a little bit of a jarring shift. So I want to see you play McCree a little bit more and trust your aim, right? Your mechanical aim is going to go a lot further with McCree than something like Junkrat, because Junkrat can control areas even if he's missing his shots half the time. So do this more, right? Play McCree more. I want to see how your mechanics improve. Because right now they're not great, but they don't need to be great at this elo. You're playing the right areas. So this was a very impressive match actually from where we started our season together. I think that's it for me. So I'm probably gonna call it for the stream then. Very short stream tonight. I wasn't planning on making it too long, but yeah. Alrighty. Have a good night.